Hi, I'm Doug Kimball, the Chief Marketing Officer at Ontotext, and I'm joined by.
Ilian Uzunov, Market Lead, Life Sciences and Healthcare.
And today we're going to talk a bit about the value that knowledge graphs can bring to healthcare and life sciences organizations. So with that, Ilian, I know, as we know, there's a lot of things that can go on, but just give me a high-level view of the value that a knowledge graph can bring.
Sure. Unlike any other industries, life sciences and healthcare deal with huge volumes of specific terms and concepts. And very often they need to be able to discover all possible relationships between those concepts. This is not very easily achievable with traditional mainstream technologies like document stores, relational databases. So here knowledge graphs could come into play because they can act like data hubs in which you can store your data, your metadata, and your content. And in this way, you can achieve totally new perspectives on the way that you manage, but also consume data. So from the traditional siloed approach in which you have data locked in isolated data stores, you should be able, using knowledge graphs, to trace down the relationships between the data points with respect to the requirements of your business needs. We have identified this need for quite some time now, and there is also another great accelerator for the adoption of knowledge graphs in the pharma space. And this is the huge abundance of high-quality reference terminologies and ontologies that have already been adopted. We have built a dedicated life sciences data practice called Linked Life Data Inventory that we use as building blocks to design specific applications which are powered by knowledge graphs for our users.
So you talked about Data Hub, and we also talked about the power of building relationships between data. Can you give me some very specific use cases that apply in these industries?
Knowledge graphs are pretty widely applicable across the board. So that's the beauty of this technology. Whenever you need to deal with dynamic, diverse data, which is both structured and unstructured, and when you have the need to enrich and augment your proprietary data with some relevant public reference data, knowledge graphs comes into play. Let me give you some examples of use cases that we have worked in on the pharma value chain. We started very early on with drug discovery use cases like therapeutic target discovery, preclinical drug discovery, drug repurposing. We have also quite a lot of experience in the clinical phase related to clinical data mining. We have also worked on drug manufacturing use cases that were related to regulatory compliance. Speaking about drug safety, which is really important, we have experience in use cases related to monitoring scientific literature for reported adverse events. And upstream the value chain, we have worked on use cases related to identification of key opinion leaders for market access. So as you can see, the applications are really wide across the value chain. For healthcare organizations, we have worked on use cases related to medical coding, healthcare claims processing, 360 data analytics views, like for instance, patient 360, researcher 360. So the technology itself, it's very well applicable across both pharma and healthcare.
So one of the things we hear a lot about is the 360 view of data, whether it's customer 360, asset 360, product 360. I heard you talk about data analytics 360, or maybe I heard that, but tell me a bit more about that.
Sure. In context of patient 360, you need to gather a lot of data points about the patient. So all the treatments, all diseases, all drugs that have been administered, but also a lot of other data like vitals, like measurements, like lab measurements. So knowledge graphs can give you this holistic view on top of all those data points. And this is done in a unified way, meaning that you can associate all those data points in accordance with the specific use case in mind.
And that's the power of the knowledge graph, as I keep understanding you say, is that ability to draw those relationships between the different data points and also create inferences. We get to the reasoning to get more information at the same time.
Precisely.
Okay, great. So let's talk a bit more about some of the specific benefits that a life sciences company can get by using a semantic knowledge graph.
Let's start with the fact that using knowledge graphs enables better sharing of data across the organization. It also increases the data literacy, which means that you can not only find data easily, but you can also collaborate more easily with your peers on top of unified data. This powers up data-driven decision-making, for instance, which is very important nowadays because all organizations, they deal with huge volumes of data. Last but not least, this has tremendous impact both on the ways that you can enable market reach faster, but also to do some cost optimizations and to be more efficient when it comes to your data analytics workflows.
Mm-hmm. But data reusability to me is a key factor in all this, because if we don't make it empowered for an organization to have that data, find it, share it, they only use the data for one project, there's some value, but it sounds like you can do a lot more with a semantic knowledge graph.
This is pretty much what happens now with traditional mainstream technologies.
Okay.
Projects are created, data remains isolated, and it's used only for very limited use cases. With knowledge graphs acting as data hubs, data could be shared across the organizations and could serve different business needs.
So looking at life sciences and healthcare organizations in particular, what departments are getting the most value from using a semantic knowledge graph?
When we started this journey more than 15 years ago, those were mostly technical users, experts that have responsibilities to manage reference data, master data, vocabularies. But now more and more often we work with business users because they drive the agenda within the organizations, and they request from the technical users to give them all the necessary data points for their use cases. And with traditional technologies, this is not possible. That's why, again, knowledge graphs are a very good fit for complex analytical use cases that require holistic view, 360-degree view on top of all your data, structured, unstructured, proprietary, and public.
Makes great sense and drives value at the same time.
Absolutely.
One of the things I think is so interesting about knowledge graphs is the different ways that it can help companies be more profitable, etc. Tell me some ways that Ontotext helps companies bring products to market faster, for example.
Let me give you an example with a specific product we developed for drug discovery. It's focused around therapeutic target discovery, and more specifically target selection, target assessment, and target ranking. And this is a very vital process in the drug discovery workflows because it happens very early on, and it requires a lot of manual information gathering, a lot of research on top of hundreds of public data sources. And there is a lot of risk that researchers may skip something and may miss some insights, and this will have a tremendous impact on the next phases. That's why we focused around giving them all the tools in their disposal so that they can use one platform, one interface to do all their work and to be able to rank the targets and to be sure that they will go with the top ranked targets in the lab for the next stage, the preclinical research.
Great. A unified platform, shared, easily accessible, consistent.
Absolutely. And this de-risks the next phases because it can have a tremendous impact on their overall goal, which is delivering faster, efficient therapies to patients.
Mm-hmm.
And since clinical phases takes a lot of time and effort, if you've done something wrong on the preclinical phase, chances are that your target will fail are great.
Hopefully we've gotten some people excited by what we're talking about here and the benefits. So how does a company get started?
It's actually easier than everyone expects, because it's very likely that organizations, they already have something that they can use as building blocks. Those could be some small controlled vocabularies or terminologies with which they can start building their reference data layer. And then we always advise them to start small, select one or two use cases, prove value, and then move forward and extend or expand the knowledge graph, adding new use cases and new application areas. The beauty of knowledge graphs is that they create reusable data assets in the organization that can only grow with the time by adding new use cases and serving more business needs.
Once again, I'm Doug Kimball, Chief Marketing Officer at Ontotext, joined by my colleague,
Ilian Uzunov, Market Lead Life Sciences and Healthcare.
We hope you've enjoyed this little segment on the value of knowledge graphs as they apply to healthcare and life sciences. Of course, if you have more questions, we hope that you reach out to us at ontotext.com, and thank you for your time.